Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley Ariana here with Rohan. What an incredible game. I'm sick. So I love games like that where you're just literally having a heart attack. My dad called me after and said that if he's in the coroner's office tomorrow, that it's because the up and down. I was watching this game with my friend who hasn't watched football before, and getting to explain to her drive down, drive in and drive out what was happening was hilarious. And her
But that was
seeing
a hell
that,
of a game. That was a
seeing my
hell of a
reaction.
game. That's how it is.
I I did not expect it to go like that whole I thought that they were gonna mirror the Ravens Texans game. I thought like maybe a little rusty in the first quarter and then like a huge pull away. The 49ers are known to play games like that. So yeah, for it to be back and forth. But I mean they played the worst that they could have played, in my opinion, maybe besides turnovers. But in my opinion, Brock Purdy played terrible. Kyle Shanahan, Jake Moody, there was rain. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. And then they went into the fourth quarter trailing, which is something that people give Kyle Shanahan a lot of grief about. His what is it, 37-1 record, 37-2 now. And I think both of those games have been against Packers too, which is
Mhm.
crazy. Um, I loved that. But to be honest, like I'm so happy that we advanced and now we have more football to analyze and talk about. There was a second there where I thought, oh, like I really thought it was over, and I was sad. Well, I think I was more mad, but I would have been sad. Now I'm just really happy. I feel like I just took like 4 shots of coffee. So I'll let you talk now. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it was a hell of a game. It's kind of like, if you're looking for a game that's like a highlight game on the outside, this is the type
Yep.
of game. I mean, the 49ers, my initial thinking, this is a game they did not deserve to win. It's not. The Green Bay Packers dominated for a majority of this game, at least 30 minutes, likely more if you go up and tally it. But this is a game that despite that, the 49ers won. And we've talked about it on previous shows, and I've said it on my own. We have yet to see the 49ers this year pull out a victory like this. They have lost in those close
Yeah.
game environments. We have not seen them come from behind and kind of, or even stay close in games and then pull those out. It's the victories, and you're not going to complain when that's the case, but they were their victories of 10 plus points usually. And so this is a completely different game. And so that's why for the 49ers, what I tweeted after, tweeting the initial stuff was that this is a game this was a needed game, and it's good that it happened now because the 49ers needed that game where they could go overcome adversity and find a way to win when they did not look good at all.
They definitely did. I like this game as kind of both a narrative um like enhancer and also a narrative crusher, because I feel like Kyle Shanahan choking in big games, 49ers playing down to their opponent, Brock Purdy not able to throw in the rain. Like you got all these things that were you're like, yep, that's true, that's true. And then but then they also I mean I had how did you have any faith that they were like, was there a point of time? I know you said they didn't deserve to win, but did you expect to win the entire time? Or was
No,
there a point in
no,
time where
no.
you were
You
like,
can't say
"It's over"?
that. Well, here's what I'll say. Did I think that they had a chance to win it at every point of this game? Yes, yes. I don't think that they were ever ultimately out
Sorry,
of this.
I
Go
I
ahead.
meant did you think they were gonna lose? Like, there was a point in the game where I was like, "Oh, it's over." Like, when they were in the
Hmm.
beginning, I was like I remember when the first quarter, I actually thought I got arrogant on Twitter, and I thought that there was no way that they wouldn't win, because I was like, Green Bay just played the best that they could have played. The 49ers defense played terrible. The 49ers offense isn't, showing out. Deebo Samuel gets injured in the beginning half of the game, and Green Bay walked away with 3 points after like looking really good. And I was like, that has to be disheartening if you're the Packers, because you're like, how do I play any better than this? That was the one thing. The 49ers defense was letting them walk down the field, but they were stopping them in that red zone, which was so critical. And then getting the turnovers, also Dre Greenlaw, huge shout out to him. Although get down when you get an interception. I was like, he's going to fumble the ball and they're going to return it for a touchdown. Like that's the energy that this game had. That is so the energy that this game had. But
yeah, but no,
but after that, like confidence later on in the game, I really like there was a time where I was like, it's over the opposite way where I was like, I think the 49ers are going to lose this, like for sure. And so
I don't think I ever had that moment where the 49ers, I thought that they were going to, like I said, it's over in that sense. I don't think I had that moment. But were there times where I did believe the 49ers could lose this game? Absolutely. I mean, like you mentioned in the first half, the 49ers were dominated for the first 15 minutes. I know they scored that one touchdown drive that took 12 plays, but it was field goal, and then it was, a fourth down stop, and then it was another field goal. And through that, while the 49ers did have one possession offensively where they scored, they did not look good. Brock Purdy did not look good early on. He had a near interception that was a pick six. That could have been a pick six on his second, throw of the day. And then he had one later on. But again, like I said, this was a game where you hoped the 49ers could pull it out to show something different about the team, and I think it did. The 49ers
this
now
is something
have
that we've
Exactly.
often talked about this, right? Like you said, they would have to win a game like this in order to win the Super Bowl if you thought that was possible. And I think our conclusion was whenever they've had the opportunity to pull out games like this, they have not been able to. So
yeah, exactly.
Incredible. Now, do you think Purdy outplayed Love? Because there was a point in the game where I felt like the 49ers defense was not shutting down the Packers offense. And I think Marcus Thompson, he covers the Warriors, and he said, who's going to win in a shootout, Jordan Love or Brock Purdy? And I think it was obviously a joke, but at the time, I felt like with some of the balls that Jordan Love was playing, I thought Jordan Love might be outplaying Brock Purdy. Now he did the most important job of the quarterback is to protect the football. He turned it over twice. Brock Purdy didn't, but like you explained earlier, it definitely showed opportunities to. And there was some erratic. What was that? This was earlier on in the game. What was that throw? It was down the field. It was a beautiful throw, and then no wide receiver in sight. Is that just miscommunication? I don't know. That 49ers were off. Do you think that this is something that will carry on next game, or just rust that they can shake off? Because they were lucky to be playing a younger Packers team in the rain. That was, they couldn't, I don't think, have won this game if it was against the Ravens at all.
I mean, it's the level of opponent. It's different things like that. And sure, we could say that, but do I think it's going to carry on? First of all, I don't think this is rust. I don't attribute it to things like rust. It's just rust is something you shake off, and I don't think the 49ers really ever shook it off. I attribute it when you look at how this game went. One, sure, it was raining. It was. But Brock Purdy struggled to throw the football at certain times in this game. But more importantly, I think even more importantly than that, two, Kyle Shanahan's lack of a willingness to go to the run game. I think Christian McCaffrey entering the fourth quarter with 11 carries is inexcusable when you're facing a Green Bay Packers team that is the 28th ranked run defense in the NFL. Moreover, Christian McCaffrey had a 39-yard touchdown run with great blocking on that cutback play where he scored, and the 49ers elected to give him the ball once on their next drive. There was another drive one time after that. Christian McCaffrey got 3 carries in a very, very, he got 3 carries in a very small sequence, and then around midfield, the 49ers dropped back and threw for the next 5 times. It was, one was a completion, or the second throw was a completion, and then it was 3 incompletions, pass on first, second, and third down that led to another, that was the one where they punted at the Green Bay 40-yard line. These type of things you should not be allowing. The 49ers in this game, and I'll say this about Matt LaFleur as well. I think Kyle Shanahan and Matt LaFleur both had the exact same issue down the stretch. Both teams could not execute offensively, and the reason, in my opinion, was that both were going away from the run.
I feel like you're making a great point, but you just cut out.
Uh-oh. Are we good now?
Yeah, we're good now. Sorry about that. Okay, I was invested in what you were saying, and then I was like, it just trailed out.
But what I was saying is that I think both teams struggled offensively because they could not sustain the run. Both teams did not go to the run at the end of the game. I think that was a huge issue for Matt LaFleur and for Kyle Shanahan. Ultimately, though, Kyle Shanahan got the last laugh because he had the final drive to find a way to get things moving. Brock Purdy, I think also huge credit goes to him for clicking it together. He looked frazzled on that second to last drive. That's what my guy Kyle Posey tweeted out. He did not look great on that second to last drive either. He was missing throws on that second to last drive. Like I said, the 49ers punted at the 40-yard line. But after the missed field goal, it clicked. He clicked, and he clicked at the exact time that you wanted him to click. Showed some good adversity for me.
Definitely. That's a positive way to spin it, right? Because I feel like the majority of people are going to spend a lot of time criticizing Kyle Shanahan. I mean, that going into halftime was insane. The using Jawan Jennings as a running back, deciding to test that theory out in a playoff game, I was yelling at the TV. But I did find it really interesting that they didn't get Christian McCaffrey more involved. I mean, record-breaking year from him, going against a Packers team that defensively has struggled in general, but specifically has struggled against the run. I predicted that it would be, and in the rain, and Brock Purdy looks shaken up, and one of your wide receivers goes out. I mean, everything was lining up for him to just run the ball down their throats. Why? What was his insistence on not doing that? Was it something the Packers defense was doing, or just Kyle Shanahan decided he didn't want to run today? What do you think?
I honestly, I don't have an answer for you. I don't think the Packers defense was doing too much different. I think that the boxes weren't overly stacked. I even saw some 6-man boxes. The Packers were in nickel for a good portion of this game. They had a lot of defensive backs on the field, and I think the 49ers could have easily exploited things in that sense. When you have Christian McCaffrey, who had 90 yards on his first 15 carries. I know one was a 39-yarder, but he was averaging 6 yards a carry up all the way up until the fourth quarter. That's something where you've got to get him the ball. You just do. And Shanahan sometimes, he was trying for some trick plays. He had a quarterback keeper for Purdy. He had the Jawan Jennings run. Screw all of that. Just run the football down the field with Christian McCaffrey, with Elijah Mitchell. And because the Packers right now, they were struggling to stop it. Not only McCaffrey on his own, but the blocking scheme as well seemed to be favoring the 49ers. And so that's a good question. And I think they have to fix that in the next game, because something that I mentioned as one of the biggest keys for me going into the divisional round was the 49ers, or whoever plays, has to be balanced. You have to be balanced and this game showed it. Both teams did not go balanced at the end of the game up until that final drive for the 49ers. And that is where both teams faltered. Running the football was the key to winning this game, and the 49ers needed to do it more in order to have a better chance early on when they were struggling, especially because they were struggling in the passing game.
Yeah. It made absolutely no sense to me. And especially because, like you're saying, like he was performing well. Like it wasn't like when he was trying to run, he was always getting stuff. Like he was getting tons of yards. I thought he looked extremely productive. I felt like it took Kyle Shanahan way too long to kind of get away. They were doing a lot of those lateral throws to Christian McCaffrey, and those were getting stopped immediately. Really quick, because I know that I'm not 100% sure about your amount of time, but I want to go to the other side of the ball. I don't really know which one I want to critique more, and I know that we're being a little bit negative. Someone made me laugh in here, said Ashley was adding 3 levels to my stress. I tried to, if on Twitter, I really tried to be like positive, because I remember in the Eagles game when they started off, someone's saying, Ambry, we're getting there, but I have to tell a story every 4 seconds for some reason. In the Eagles game, when they first started out, the offense went 3 and out, the Eagles scored, and it just looked terrible. And I remember I was like really living with each down, and I tweeted out something like the Eagles aren't even in the same league as the 49ers, which ironically they're not, but I meant it I thought the Eagles were a better way. And then the 49ers ended up blowing them out. Well, I talked to Eric Crocker later on that week, and he kind of told me like the 49ers played as bad as they could have played, and the Eagles only scored 2 field goals. So I knew at that point that the 49ers were going to blow them out. So I was carrying over that optimism because I was like, Green Bay has played as well as they could have played. The 49ers defense has sucked. Their offense is lost on the field. And so I was like, they're going to end up pulling away and blowing them out. And then I felt so dumb, and I came back with full force, and definitely was like, I was like, I'm so mad. Like when Jake Moody kicked, I was like, if I ever see him walk on this field again, I know that he made the kick later on. I don't care. Never. I don't want to see him ever again. I hate him. I also watched this game. I think I said this earlier with my friend, and it was so funny to like explain everything to her as this was happening. Explaining to her why Kyle Shanahan decided to experiment with giving Juwan Jennings the football for a run instead of the star running back that broke records this year, was a little bit frustrating. Or the like, you don't want to play him? Okay, you got two backups who also average like 7 yards a carry, but why not test out Juwan Jennings, the slowest wide receiver you have? So incredibly frustrating. But going to the defensive side of the ball, I don't know which I'm more frustrated. It felt like the defensive line did not go home, but when going for storylines, I think Ambry Thomas, it made me sad. I was telling my friend, once again, she's not doesn't super watch football, so I was like telling her, he came in as a rookie, then his second year he really had a slump, then he was sat an entire year, and then he finally comes back, he calls his shot, he's been playing great all season, all regular season long, and then what the heck was with his performance today? Old Ambry Thomas decided to come back in a playoff game, the most important game. You lose it and you're out. And Ambry Thomas was like, he just panicked. He was like in good position, committing penalties when he didn't have to. What was your thought on the 49ers defense as a whole? Maybe you want to start with their secondary or their whatever was stuck out to you the most, because they didn't, to me, live up to their standard.
I mean, here's kind of how I view it. Overall, I think we've seen some lapses from the 49ers defense during their win streak. And then a few of those issues kind of came out in their loss to the Ravens. But the main thing to me is I saw two things from the 49ers. One, they do have some issues, particularly at edge rusher when they're crashing the edge too much. I think that was a key in the run game where the Packers got a lot of explosive plays because the defensive ends were crashing. Chase Young, Randy Gregory, I saw both of them do that on certain occasions. But the one thing that I did see that I think I've noticed a little bit now, the 49ers are a really, really solid team inside the red zone defensively. They are a really good red zone defense. Today, Green Bay got into San Francisco territory, I believe, 4 times and scored a touchdown once. They were not able to score touchdowns. And this is something that thwarted last week, if you watched, thwarted the Los Angeles Rams. They got into Detroit Lions territory 5 times and scored 1 touchdown. If you have that capability, even if the opposing offense is imploding on you, you still have a chance to win football games. Now, the 49ers defense, the main reason they need to get off the field is so they can get their offense more opportunities and get themselves less tired and off the field. But I think that there are issues with the defense, but overall, I think giving up 24 points to what I believe is the best offense remaining in the NFC outside of the 49ers with the Green Bay Packers, I think is a success. I think that their main issues came from the offensive side of the football in this one, because 24 points is good. I understand he missed a field goal. Could have been 21 points. Sorry. Could have been 24 points. He missed a field goal. Anders Carlson did. But I thought it was a pretty good game outside of a few issues in the run game. I think as Ark Armstead gets more acclimated, I think you might see some improvements in that regard as well. But yeah, I mean, defensively, I think it's a concern.
No sacks.
Yeah, but the reason that I'm not wait, I know, but the reason I don't care too much about the no sacks is Jordan Love is incredibly good when it comes to avoiding sacks. He will get pressured. He got pressured 9 times in the first half, but didn't get a sack. So I know that's an issue, but if you look at Love specifically, you saw that there were issues with Love at the very end of the game. In the last few drives, Love was inaccurate. That was a key issue. He had a couple of questionable throws, including the pick. He had a couple of issues, and even with that, even with the 49ers not getting sacks, I think their bigger issue wasn't their pass defense. It was their run defense in terms of their pass rush. I mean, obviously, secondary-wise, Thomas, you don't want that penalty. The 49ers did something twice in this game. Deshaun Gibson committed that penalty where he was perfectly in
Yeah,
position and he just hit the guy early. Ambry Thomas in position could just
he
go
did
up to
that
make
twice.
the
Yeah.
interception, and he hit him early despite being in position and also turning around and looking at the ball. Those kind of things you don't want to see necessarily, but I'm not as concerned, I will say, about the defense.
Hit the like button. I liked this one. I'm glad that you're not as concerned. I'm very concerned, but potentially we'll have more talks and I'll calm down. I think someone said earlier that I added 10 years to their life with my stress factor. So maybe we can balance each other out a little bit. Um, when it comes to Kyle Shanahan, you did say that you felt like he turned it around towards the end of the game, but I felt like he really blundered that going into the half. Do you have any thought or
Horrible.
explanation onto what
Yeah.
he was thinking, why he ran the clock out all the way to 0? It seemed like it made sense at first, but then he ran all the time out and that didn't make any sense. Like, why
It
would
was
you play for
It
the
was
field goal,
good.
not the
Yeah,
touchdown?
it was good the way that Shanahan did it. He had the
Okay.
49ers with a minute and 30 seconds left and 3 timeouts at midfield. After at that point, what he did was beyond baffling. Personally, I think the 49ers should have gone further downfield before starting to burn as much clock as they did so that you can set yourself up favorably if things go wrong after you start burning clock. But Shanahan this was the like he's trying to take the safe option out. What Shanahan wanted to do is he was so scared that the 49ers were not going to get a stop defensively that he didn't even want to get Green Bay the ball back. He wanted to burn all of the clock, and because of that, where you want to make sure Green Bay doesn't get the ball, the best way to secure that is go for a field goal. That's exactly what he did. But not only did Shanahan not set up the 49ers well, Moody had to kick a 47-yard field goal, which clearly was blocked and might have missed regardless. The 49ers, you don't want to set yourselves up at the 47-yard line, and you had a 2-for-1 opportunity. You're up 7-6. If you get a touchdown here, and if you get a field goal or a touchdown on the next drive, you're up 2 scores before Green Bay can even make a difference and touch the ball. The 49ers did not do that. Instead, they have a
And
missed field goal at the end.
he talks a
Yeah.
lot about, like, that being important to him. He was
Mhm.
asked
It's
this,
it's his it's his
he was
biggest
asked this
staple.
week
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's his biggest staple, and he didn't go for it. I mean, it's like he was very scared that he couldn't give up, the opportunity. It's the playoffs. You have to go and get that touchdown. I think that that's extremely important. He chose not to, and I think that's a decision that he's going to regret and probably look to change next week, or hopefully he tries to change that up next week because that was awful clock management.
I completely agree. Now, did you have a problem with any other, like, I had a problem with some of his fourth down decision making. Did you feel like kicking the
Click
field
on
goal?
which ones are what are you thinking about? Like going for it or kicking a field goal or something like that?
Yeah, the first field goal that was missed, it was like a 4th and 1, and I just felt like it was a weird, maybe he was kind of trying to get Jake Moody, like,
You're saying the blocked
the
field goal?
opportunity. Yeah,
You're saying,
because
oh,
I
that
know it
one.
was blocked, but there's clips on Twitter that looks like it was not gonna go in before it got
Yeah,
blocked.
yeah, but no, I mean it's 4th and 2. I don't care about that one because Shanahan, he was following his plan. He set it in mind that he wanted a field goal. The second that he started burning all that clock, and also there were 10 seconds left in the half. I think the more questionable ones that you could consider potentially, I think there was the one where they punted on 4th and 10 at the 40. On 3rd and 10, you might have hoped to gone short, but again, it's 4th and 10 at the 40. It worked out for the 49ers in that it was a missed field goal on one end and a touchdown on the other end. But fourth down to situations, I don't know I don't know if there were too many. That one was okay to me because there was only 10 seconds left in the half. What do you think?
I I think I'm pro going for it way more. Not only just because of the Jake Moody thing, but I feel like I'm maybe one of those nerds that I think it just gives you a better opportunity to get more points. It's something I always appreciate about Dan Campbell, and I think it says something like about your belief in your team and shows that aggressiveness. I think Eric Crocker called it, ball, like shows balls or whatever. And as we've seen in other decisions that Kyle Shanahan has made, he seems to play not to lose, not to play to win. And I think in these big games that are more competitive now, incredible win. The 49ers won. That's wonderful. But we do have to like keep in consideration that this Green Bay Packers team is a younger team. This next game is going to be harder. And if the 49ers are lucky enough to make it to the Super Bowl, that's going to be way harder. And I think playing for the win is what you need to do. I don't think it's smart to play not to lose in these types of games. Maybe regular season, whatever. I mean, I think just as a philosophy, especially with the like style that the 49ers play, like being such a energetic, physical team, it kind of would go with their motto to be more aggressive. But Kyle is so old school, it can kind of frustrate me sometimes. Really quick,
Yeah.
we have a super chat. So Love is not a scrambling QB. Every time we pressured, he folded. I thought he did decently.
In the first half, I thought he was better. Second half, I thought he struggled.
I agree. And it was like raining the whole game, but the rain definitely got worse in the second half. I don't know. Everyone was talking about how like both quarterbacks really struggled, but Love did worse than Purdy. I actually thought like I was pretty impressed with Love, especially that
Love played a better
first
game up
half.
until the last 3 minutes. Love played a
Oh,
better game.
Okay, good.
I'm
glad that you're saying that.
It's just the way that you see it is Purdy ultimately won his team the game. Love had several chances to win his team the game, and he missed open throws at the end of the game that he should have hit. That's that's the main takeaway in terms of who is more impactful, or like in that sense, you could say Purdy. To me, I think Love played better. Go ahead.
I have a side question for you that I just thought of that really isn't relevant because we're 49er fans. But do you think that the narrative for Green Bay is going to be like their kicker sucks, or is going to be more about Jordan Love? Because if their kicker would have made that kick, it would have been tied.
100% their kicker. I don't think this is on Love at all. I honestly think this is on both of the coaches. Matt LaFleur did not go to the run, and Aaron Jones, like he ran the ball a little more. He had 18 carries for 108 yards. He ran the ball extremely efficiently, and he didn't have like that 39 type of like he had a one major explosive play, but he ran the ball efficiently, and the run game was working. Aaron Jones, Matt LaFleur, they went away from the run. I think that I'll place more blame on the coaches for that.
I think that the coaches definitely deserve criticism. Question: the outcome of this game, it could be that Matt LaFleur really knows Kyle Shanahan that good. I mean, it's defense going against offense, but they both run very similar schemes. I don't think it was as much of one of the coaches getting in the other coach's head. We've kind of seen Kyle Shanahan usually, aside from in in the most important game that almost got them into the Super Bowl but didn't. Kyle Shanahan usually dominates his kind of underlings, but yeah, I really don't think that was that. I was more amped to put it on rust or just bad game planning. Maybe Kyle Shanahan I think he out tries to outsmart himself sometimes. Like they're going to expect I'm going to do this, so I'm going to do this. So the Packers, like I said, I was watching this with my friend, so it was like a cool perspective, because when I was explaining to her how frustrating it was that they weren't running the ball, I was like, they have the best rusher. He is historic. He's breaking records. The Packers defense is bad. Their run defense is specifically bad. Like, she doesn't know football. And I was like, if you're good at running the ball and this team is bad at stopping the run, don't you think that you would run the ball more? Why aren't they doing but I think Kyle Shanahan, going back to the Jennings thing, I think sometimes he's like, oh, well, they're not going to expect us to do this. And it's like, because it's not going to work. Because that's a dumb thing to do. Don't do that.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Yeah.
And I've been one in the last game that was it the last game? Not the Rams game. Ravens game? What was the game where they were? Oh yeah, Ravens game. I've been like someone who actually isn't highly critical of Kyle Shanahan leaning on the pass more, because in that game, I remember people were like really mad that he wasn't running the ball. But in that game, I felt like they were getting the yards. I felt like the only issue with that game was that once they got into the red zone, Brock Purdy was giving the ball to the other team. But their offense looked effective and in rhythm in that game, at least. In this game, the offense never looked like it was in rhythm. Even Brandon Ayuk, by the way, I hate to be, and maybe this is, see, I'm getting hyped up. Brandon Ayuk, he dropped a ball, and I was so frustrated. And I was like, if you want to be wide receiver 1 and get wide receiver 1 money, and you think you're the best, and I think you're great, you need to not like these are pivotal moments. And
Yeah,
to be
Kittle
fair,
dropped one
the
too.
very
Yeah,
next play. Oh, you're right. Maybe why am I so much harder on Brandon Ayuk? Kittle did drop the ball. I
but
think Kittle
I think Ayuk had the catch of the game. You know that really good catch that
where he
saved the
went low.
49ers. Yeah, on the low throw. That was a really good
That was
throw.
right
Really,
after he didn't catch it
yeah,
too. So I was like, he didn't
yeah,
catch it, and then the next play he did great, and I was like, I'm a dumbass.
exactly.
I motivate people. There was a couple games ago where I was like, what does Jawan Jennings do? Freaking shine. He was a star this game, not in the handoff play, but as a wide receiver, he really came through in the absence of Debo Samuel. I mean, I
Yeah,
think
I think that it also would be a little smarter to devise more plays for Ayuk and Kittle rather
yeah, me
than
too, me too. Like
the
maybe he
secondary
shouldn't
players.
have to
But
be, but
Jennings, yeah, no, Jennings had a couple of good plays though. He had a good first half, and then or went after Debo went out, and then he had that major catch. The jumping catch where Purdy put it very high for him. So that was another play where he was able to show his talent.
I completely agree. Rain should be a factor with these drops. Do you think that that's accurate? Do you think
No,
that a lot of this goes on the
because
rain?
both teams had to deal with the rain, and the Packers did not drop that many passes.
I completely agree. And then now the talk about Brock coming from behind should be done with. That box is checked out. We did talk about how some narratives seem to be enhanced and other ones, could be potentially closed. I think he has to consistently do it, but it's very good that we saw him do it once. Now at least we know it's possible. So if they get in these games again, like when they were down in the fourth quarter, I was like, well, they don't come back from this. Like we have zero evidence that they could pull this out. I mean, as a fan, you have hope, but you have zero evidence. Now at least you can be like, well, they did it one time. Now it was against the Packers. So and the Packers are gonna be a good feisty team, but I think going against better competition, who do you think they're going to play? What's your prediction? Who do you think they're going to play in the next round?
I have the Lions.
Mhm.
I think that they beat Tampa Bay, but I could see it both ways. But my main takeaway was that whoever won this game was going to win the NFC Championship. I honestly think the Packers would beat both teams just because they're. I think that they're a legit team. They're a legit team that has stuff to add, but they're good. But I think the 49ers, in this game, they should be favored, and whoever they should be favored by more in the next game than they were in this game.
I'd love for really quickly. I agree. By the way, but I'm nervous about the Super Bowl. Like they have to turn it around. They could not play a game like they played today. But if anyone in the comments or if you've seen it on Twitter, do we have any updates on Debo from the press conference? Like I know right after, I'm sure that they'll do something like an MRI. I know it was his shoulder. They were saying he suffered a shoulder injury earlier on in the year that kept him out a couple games.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Then he
I don't know
said
if it's
no
the same
update,
shoulder.
and he said we're hoping sooner than later. So no update, unfortunately.
Love that. Um, okay. Sorry, I was just double checking Twitter. Any other someone asked why was Logan Ryan in the game and not Jair Brown? Do you know?
Just the
Weird.
way that it went. Brown's coming back from an injury, the knee injury, which he suffered, I believe, in week 18, or he either suffered it then or the week before. Just the preference, it seems like.
Okay. That interesting. I feel like what do you think about that? I think that you kind of have to if he's healthy enough to go, I think that you should go with your younger guy because you're gonna need to rely on him on more games. But
I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't really care at this point. The 49ers did the same thing at right guard. They went with Feliciano over Spencer Burford. I think it's whoever they believe is the most ready, throw him out there.
it's gonna go.
That's kind
Okay.
of just the way that I see it. And maybe it was injury related. Maybe it's just, not enough preparation coming back from the injury, whatever it might be. But yeah, those type of things I'm not too concerned about at this stage in the season.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, if you had to give me two players that you thought two game balls, do you have two game balls to give out from for this game?
Oh, that's a good question. Should we go 1-1-1-1?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. I will start with I got one. I think on defense, the guy that I'm going to go with, he had a breakup early in the game, and a guy who I think, man, the secondary pretty well, is Travarius Ward. I think Ward had a good game. It was really Ambry Thomas that was targeted a good amount on that side. On the outside, that's kind of where Green Bay looked to exploit that matchup. Ward didn't allow many catches, though. I'm going to go with him.
Ooh, hold on. I don't mean to. I just saw this super chat and I like it. Best post game comment was Trent, not up to our standard. I like that. I like good, keep a good mentality. Hey, you want to, people always say like you want to lose, you want to learn from wins, right? Especially in the playoffs, obviously. But I've maybe phrased that wrong. You'd rather have a poor game that you win, but you can still learn from, than lose a game. You don't. It's better to win, obviously. I'm glad that he said not up to our standard and that they're not going in. I think that means they're just going to work twice as hard this week. Hopefully, knocked off some of that rust. Hopefully, Kyle Shanahan pulls his head out of his ass. Sorry to say that. But I like Charvarius Ward. He's been very impressive this entire year. Made himself $500,000 with all his Pro Bowl and all pro selections. My defensive game ball, since we're going defensive side, it's gonna have to be I saw it in the comments, Trey Greenlaw. I know that maybe he should have got down at the end of the game with that, had some.
That's a good one, actually, because he had the 2 picks too. So he had both of them. So yeah.
And I felt like he was on top of the tackles. I didn't see too many like missed assignments from him. I thought he did really well just in general, but then making those 2 picks, you could tell he wanted that pick 6 at the end. But I think that those were game changing. I mean, it gave the 49ers more possessions, more opportunities with the football. In the first, was it half or quarter? The Packers, I think it was the first half. The Packers held the ball for like almost double the amount of time that the 49ers did. And by the end of the game, it was evened out, and or the 49ers had a little bit more game time. And all that, in my opinion, comes down to the interceptions. That's what this game came down to. Like, Brock Purdy almost threw interceptions, and Green Bay's defense didn't catch them. And Jordan Love threw interceptable balls, and Dre Greenlaw caught them. So I think Dre Greenlaw definitely deserves a game ball. Let's go offensively.
Offense is a good question. I think there's one answer. It's the guy who scored both most of the offensive touchdowns, and that's McCaffrey. Like I said, the run game was the reason that the 49ers were able to get some success when they went to the run game. Had an amazing 39-yard touchdown. I think that those kind of things were crucial, and so I'm going to go with McCaffrey because I think he was the most successful part of the 49ers offense today.
Dang, stealing my pick. I thought McCaffrey was incredible. There was this one run earlier on, I want to say in the second quarter, where people went crazy and they were just like, it gave NFC Championship vibes, where the whole entire offense was flustered and stuttering. And Christian McCaffrey, remember when there was like still chance, like a tiny little hope if you were a huge fan that the 49ers could do something in that game, and Christian McCaffrey scored that touchdown. That's how he felt in this game. It felt like if it was up to him, he was not going to let the 49ers lose, which was what was so maddening about Kyle Shanahan not giving him the freaking ball, because you're like, this is your one player that's going to do everything in his power to freaking win this game for you. And he's literally performing well. So incredible, great pick. Stole mine. A lot of people are saying Brock in the comments. A lot of people are saying Brock because of his comeback, even though he struggled. At least they came back. Defense, just the entire. I like this. That's so me when someone I'm so indecisive. Someone's like, pick one, and you just go the entire defense. For their performance in the red zone, I could definitely see that. I'm gonna go offensively. We've talked about Jennings already too much, so I feel like I can't say Jennings. I'm gonna go Kittle. I know he had that drop, and I would go Jennings if we didn't talk about him. So Jennings is actually above Kittle for me. But we're gonna talk about Kittle because we've already talked about Jennings a lot. Who once again just showed up incredibly. Maybe shouldn't have to. They have people who are not potentially, but who are literally more talented, who could be scheming the ball better. But every opportunity Jennings got, he seemed to make the most out of it. His blocks, did you see that block where he is blocking, I think it's Jair Brown, all the way into the Green Bay's like Gatorade
Yeah,
container?
yeah, that was wild.
Love, yeah, him blocking. Brandon Ayuk also with the block. He got into a tough with a Packers secondary member. I forget which one earlier on in the game. But I want to say George Kittle, I felt like he showed up, made a lot of crucial catches. I know he had that one drop, but I felt like when the 49ers was first, especially in that first half, when they were struggling, I felt like he was a spark of a lot of energy, getting just some really critical first downs that felt like, okay, let's keep the ball moving. Let's go, guys. And it felt like you're kind of like molasses moving uphill in the wintertime. I'm currently in New York, and moving in general with how cold it is outside is terrible.
Oh, speaking of that
So
real quick, because I am in
yeah.
Madison. Funny enough, I am in Wisconsin
Oh,
watching the
are you?
49ers play the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, I am in Madison right now. It is 0 degrees. It is 0.
No, no. Sorry, nope. I can't handle that. My friend is the one that I'm staying with. She's also from the Bay Area, and it is our mission to convince her boyfriend that they actually want to move to Los Angeles, and then I will just move with them, and then we will be a little happy family. Because it is way too cold. But what are you doing in Madison? Are you there for something with covering something else?
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
I gotta get
Awesome.
them out. But I
Kenny
unfortunately
is
do have to head out in
oh, yeah,
about
yeah.
2 minutes. Yeah, but I mean, this was a fun
Perfect.
show and a very, very exciting game. That's I don't know if even the Super Bowl. I don't know if any game just in a true game
It was
environment was
so
going to top
thrilling.
this. Yeah.
It was so I mean, the game was crazy. That second half specifically, the like, they're gonna win, they're gonna lose, they're gonna win. Like, down to the very last second. Incredible. Love that. Do you think that they should have tried to run the clock out? Last question before you have to go. Do you think they should have tried to run the clock out a little bit more?
Oh, you're saying at the
Or
end?
yeah. Or do you think it was fine?
No. When you're down a touchdown, you have to take, or when you need a touchdown, you have to take the touchdown. The 49ers are down 4 points. You don't want to risk not taking it. And I also think Matt LaFleur kind of gave them a little bit of leeway because he didn't call any of his timeouts. He burned a lot of clock at the end there. And I know he kept all 3 of his timeouts. They clearly didn't help because it just amps up the pressure for Love. So I didn't think that they needed to run it down more. If you get a touchdown, you go ahead, you take the points, and you trust that your defense can get a stop, knowing that you only need a field goal. Now, if you only need a field goal, I think that it's a different story. Let's say it was instead of 21-17, it was 21-18. You're running that clock down because you want either to go to overtime or you want to win the game right there. That's kind of your 2
Yeah,
options. But
that makes sense.
in this sense, you need to score. Go ahead, get the points, and trust your defense in that sense.
I completely agree. Okay, well, I had so much fun doing this with you, Rohan. I know I stole a lot of your time, but I'm so excited that we have more weeks to talk about 49er football.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
let you go out,
we
and
got a fun one.
I'll close out with a couple of the comments, and then I'll shut this down. But I'll go through some
Sounds
comments
good.
when you're
Have a
ready.
good night.
Have a good night. Good luck on whatever team you want to play. Oh, goodbye. Okay. Hi, guys. I just thought I would go through some of the comments because I saw a lot of you guys in here and I didn't want to. I really appreciate everyone tuning in. So I thought I would go through it. End of the half. So we did talk about this in terrible game management. I'm definitely going to listen to his post game interview. I hope that some of the reporters, I know that they tend to kind of go easy on him and it was a win, but I hope that people question what the heck he was doing. To me, the decision the decision to run some of the time off would make sense if you were going to try to score right away and not give Green Bay back the ball, but to run all of the time off didn't make any sense at all. I wonder if anyone in the comments, do you guys think that if it was in the first quarter, Green Bay, the announcers on TV, they were like, oh, it looks like Jordan Love got the first down and the Packers challenged it. And they ended up staying with the ruling on the field that they didn't get the first down. I kind of thought that they got it when they replayed it on the TV, 49ers might have got away with that. Someone said Grant might question him with that. I hope so. I know people can give him a hard time, but I think Kyle deserves to feel criticism about that. I think when people win, it's hard to then try to bring up the negative things. But when you're considering, maybe not against the Lions, if the Lions win, a game like this could be confident. But I think when you're considering the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, the 49ers are going to have to play a lot better than this. The 49ers defense did not show up today, which think about them coming off that bye week in the regular season. They were ferocious. They were hitting. They got sacks because Chase Young was added around that time. Nick Bosa, what the heck? You pay a guy $125 million and then he doesn't show up? Come on, man. I don't know. To me, that's unacceptable. But people are really talking about the stressful game, the drama. It was a really good game. Some people don't understand the script. I had a really fun time because I was watching it with a friend, so I was glad that it was such a dramatic game because I feel like it pulled her into it, and she got to see my ups and downs with each drive. I explained this earlier, but for people who weren't in the chat, I tried to remain calm in the beginning half because even the 49ers looked horrible. Green Bay immediately scores. Luckily, only scores a field goal, and the defense deserves a ton of credit for that. The reason that Green Bay beat Dallas is because they were scoring in the red zone. The 49ers did not let the Packers score in the red zone. When they scored, it was because Jordan Love threw down the field, which is why I thought he looked really good, even though he was the guy who turned the ball over the most. Also, I liked that play call from Green Bay's perspective, not from the 49ers perspective, but to throw down the field and potentially get the penalty for them to get another first down. I thought Matt LaFleur for the majority of the game was calling the game really well and ballsy, and then he puckered up. Why did he do that? Something about the Shanahan regime, man. That they can be winning and doing well, and then at the very end they get scared and start coaching not to lose. Very weird. Doesn't matter if Brock Purdy struggled. In the end, he came up and won it with amazing fashion. This is how, and I'm not gonna say he's a legend yet, but this is how legends are made. Is you comes through in the big moments. You can as an analyst or a content creator or a fan, you can't constantly criticize the 49ers for never coming, never winning gritty games, never coming back because they're always winning, right? So people always say, oh, well, we don't know if they can come from behind. We don't know if they can win in gritty games. We really need to see this. But then when they finally see it and they're in these games, then it's all hellfire that they got in that situation. Well, why weren't you just dominating the whole game? You should have just been up by 10, 20 the whole game. Why weren't you doing that? And it is kind of hypocritical, right? To be like, oh, I really hope that we see them pull out this type of win. But then when they get themselves in that situation, it's like you focus on the negative more. And by you, I mean me. I was focusing on the negative. So I agree. I think Brock Purdy deserves some praise, but also deserves some criticism. What's up with him in the rain? He can't throw the ball in the rain. He had the glove on. He took the glove off. He was doing all sorts of things with the gloves. I don't know what that is. He has bigger hands than, not to bring up Trey Lance, but he has bigger hands than Trey Lance. I know he was drafted, almost undrafted, last pick in the draft, but it wasn't because of his hands. His hands, he has good hand size, so I don't understand. Why can't he hold onto the football? What's that about? Anyone who can let me know the holding onto the football mechanics. I don't really understand. The 49ers only had the ball 3 times in the first half. That's what I was saying. And that's why I think Matt LaFleur deserves, I think they're going to criticize their kicker for missing a kick and Jordan Love for turning the ball over. But I think Matt LaFleur really screwed the Packers over a little bit because he was calling an excellent game plan. They held possession of the ball. They were running the ball really effectively too, which was super. I mean, I, as a 49er fan, love that Matt LaFleur shit the bed. But if I was, if I was a part of the Go Pack Go nation, I would definitely be frustrated that he went away from the run and let the 49ers end up. I think if someone has the numbers, I'll definitely have them by my stream tomorrow. But I think by the end of the game, the 49ers actually had a couple they were either even or had a couple more minutes of game possession. And in the first half, the Packers had like, it was something like 7 minutes to 20 or something. It was very for the first half of the game, the Packers held the ball way longer, and then in the second and fourth quarter specifically, and I think that really screwed them over too, because you have to remember the Packers, their defender, they played against Dallas all 4 quarters because they were taken out and then put back in. So I think their defense just got tired. Because if you compare how they were playing in the first half of the game to the second half, I think they just got tired. I love this. Dre Greenlaw gave him a game ball. He says Dre Greenlaw is an all-pro in my book. This is my dad, and he says that Dre Greenlaw and Christian McCaffrey deserve game balls right for Kittle. I thought Kittle brought a lot of momentum, especially in that first quarter when it felt like nothing was happening. Christian McCaffrey, obviously the only player to score a touchdown, so he definitely gets it. Someone said great script, good game. I don't know if they're meaning like script as in, script like drama-y, like storyline for the NFL, or if he means like Kyle Shanahan's play script. I thought Kyle Shanahan had a really bad play script, so hopefully that's not what he's talking about. But drama plus, I think he means storyline. And if you're talking about storyline, I completely agree. I don't even know if the Super Bowl will live up to this. Like I let me know what type of fan you guys are in the comments. I know I was talking to Rob Stats Guerrera. He does it's not Niners Nation anymore. He used to do it for Niners Nation, but he's very big within the community. And he is the type of fan that always says like he really prefers, like he'd rather them, like his team blow out the other team because he doesn't want to be stressed. He just wants to know that they're going to win. I'm a little bit sick. I like it when you're like, oh, they're not going to win. They're going to win. They're like, your stomach is almost hurting because you're so like, yes, no, yeah. I don't know. I like that. It makes it fun. But I like it only if they win. Like I was at the very end, I was with my friend and I was like so mad when because it looked like if they didn't get a turnover there, didn't look like they did. Because at first I was like, okay, if they get a field, like I was so mad because I was like, they're gonna get into field goal range. If their kicker, then we have to, okay, does their kicker miss? If they don't miss, then they're gonna go to halftime or overtime. This game was such an overtime freaking game. Like that would have totally played into how crazy this game was. So I was like going for that. And it didn't even occur to me. Like I was explaining to my friend what was happening. And I was like, okay, because I'm so cocky. When the 49ers scored at the end, not got the interception, but before Green Bay got the ball back, I was like, they won. And then I was like, oh, they have a minute left. Shit. And so my friend was like, they won? And I was like, well, there's only a minute left. And then I was like, that's definitely more than enough time, actually. And when Jordan Love was bam, first down, bam, first down, I think he got three completions, right? So I was nervous because I was like, oh my God, they're gonna get in field goal range. And then in my brain, I was like, okay, all you have to do is make sure that they don't get in a field goal range. And if they do, they were just talking on the TV about how their kicker is like historically bad. And then it occurred to me that they could score a touchdown. Like I hadn't even considered that. Which to be fair, the 49ers defense was excellent in the red zone. But when I realized that, I was like, oh my God, the 49ers could lose. I was so glad. I'm so happy that they won. I didn't want football. I was not mentally prepared going into this game for football to be over. So I'm so glad that it's not. But yeah, then my friend and I were watching, and when Dre Greenlaw got the pick, I was like, and then I was like, they won. And then my friend at this point didn't trust me because I just told her that they won. And then she saw the other team going down the field. And then I was like, no, they actually won now because there's only 30 seconds left and they could just kneel the ball. But yeah, that was definitely I feel like high or something. It was such a good game. I love games like that. I'm gonna go through the comments and see. Love effed up his chance. I think he'll get more chances. I mean, that's such a young team. I definitely think they're gonna come back even better. They also they lost one of their starting offensive linemen, and the defense still didn't get that much pressure. Weird, but I think that they're probably going to be within the playoff mix for the next couple of years. Speaking of, that's another thing because I was once again explaining things to my friends who don't really know anything about football. The Packers, the luck that they have to go from Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and then Love looks like he's going to be really good. I know, I mean, you have to, same thing with Purdy, right? People always preach like he has to do it for longer. Love, literally this season, they were like talking about how he wasn't a good player up until like 10 games ago. So he definitely has to do it for longer. But doesn't it seem like the Packers just have excellent, whatever they do with quarterbacks is genius. They have great luck. Being able to get that many stars, like that's just not how I was explaining to my friend. I was like, it's so rare because all of the, like, if you have 10 quarterbacks that are, all picked, only one of them is going to be good and one of them will be like a backup and the rest of them will be like out of the league most of the time. Like, it's so rare for quarterbacks to be good. The fact that one organization has been able to have back to back to back excellent quarterbacks, crazy. So I don't know. I wouldn't be down on them. Logan Brown says, OMG, epic win. Epic is a great word. I was trying to explain when I was writing the description for this. I was like, how do I explain what? Because gritty, it was a gritty game, but it was thrilling. Like, it was like thrilling. It was like going on a roller coaster. It was so good. Packers 49ers is going to be a playoff rivalry for the next few years. I think so. Freaking Aaron Rodgers got to be sick seeing the 49ers, seeing the Packers do so well. I'm happy for Matt LaFleur. I want him to kind of have success without Aaron Rodgers because I feel like Aaron Rodgers tried to make that his team, but I don't know. Then in the crucial moments, I was just criticizing Matt LaFleur, so who knows? Like I wouldn't be too mad if it was what is this? Hold on, my dad. I have a problem if he uses the glove or not, but blank that blank. He was still trying to figure it out up until the fourth quarter. BS, move the hell on. Either have it or leave it. Oh, leave it with the glove? I thought he was meaning like have it or like Brock Purdy's definitely going to be their starting quarterback next year. So I don't think he's saying have it or don't have it with Brock Purdy. I think it makes sense that he was maybe fiddling with the glove. Now, what I don't understand is Kyle Shanahan has been asked about this before. I DM'd one of the beat reporters like 2 years ago going into the Colts game when it was going to be snowstorming because Carson Wentz talked about how he practiced all week with a glove and with wet footballs, or maybe not with a glove, but with wet footballs. And I was like, oh, like, do the 49ers do this? And Kyle Shanahan has been asked about it for multiple years in a row now. Kyle Shanahan always struggles in rain games. And multiple years in a row, he's been asked, hey, have you guys considered practicing with wet footballs? And he says he thinks that it gets in the quarterback's head and it like psychs them out and he doesn't want to practice with wet footballs for some reason, which to me is dumb. Prepare them. The reason that Brock Purdy is fiddling with his glove is because he doesn't have enough experience throwing the football with a glove on. Obviously, that's also up to Brock Purdy. Make sure to get in extra work after. I think that is fair to say. But everyone, I think I'm going to probably end it off here. I had so much fun talking with you guys and watching tonight's game. My takeaways are thrilling game, absolutely thrilling game. Defense, in my opinion, I know Rohan wasn't as upset about the 49ers not getting to the quarterback, but to me, that's unacceptable. They're paying Nick Bosa Joe Burrow money. I know maybe Joe Burrow is not a good example because he's injured. They're paying Nick Bosa Josh Allen money. I think more than Josh, like equal to Josh Allen. You got to show up. I know he's had a bad year. He's had a good year, but like compared to his own standard, it's when you say that, I feel like people get so mad because he's obviously still incredible, but he wasn't a Pro Bowler and he wasn't an All Pro, and he just got paid more than every single guy who's on that list because of what he did last season, not only in the regular season, but in some of the playoff games. So yeah, you would hope that they would step it up. I thought Fred Warner did okay. He didn't make a ton of splash plays, but definitely was able to make the right plays. And I think was helping. You saw him helping getting some of the guys lined up. I'd love to see what's going on with Jair Brown. I kind of think Jair Brown should be starting over Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan, the 49ers have no allegiance to him. He was not on the team. He's like 35, 34. He was like on a cruise a month ago. They got him off the street. I think he's great backup material, but they drafted Jair Brown for a reason. So if he is able to play, which he was fully cleared from his MCL, he's a guy who goes after the football. And I think you want more guys like that on the field. Hopefully Ambry Thomas. I mean, I felt like this defense really struggled. Gibson with the penalty, Ambry Thomas. What was up with that? It was like flashbacks to old Ambry Thomas. We don't want to see him in the playoffs. Imagine them going after Jair Brown. I have to show this. Is this a new mic? It is. I am staying with my friend, so it's not technically mine, but I'm going to be here for an indefinite amount of time. So I'm using it until then. I hope people give me feedback. Earlier I had it over to the side of me, and Marco said that you couldn't hear me as well. So I tried to put it right here. But I got a lot of comments that I was shrill. I used to be a cheerleader, so I just have a high-pitched voice, you know? I accidentally talk like this all the time. But anyways, I think I might let you... Oh, see, this guy agrees. I'm confused. We really see Bosa, Hargrave, Armstead, Young. I don't understand either. Okay. I'll end it off with this and then I'll go because I've been talking forever, but I just have a lot of energy and there's still a lot of people watching. So I hope you guys like and subscribe. Let's grade Brock Purdy. You'd want to give him like a C- or like lower for most of his performance, but the most important job of the quarterback is to protect the football. He protected the football, and everyone has been questioning. Do you see why I don't want this like right in front of my face? You can't see how beautiful I am. I'm just kidding about that, but you know, you want Brock Purdy. I think I would give Brock Purdy. Do you give him like is a B- good? Is that too critical, too high? I know that he didn't do anything spectacular, but if you're comparing him to Jordan Love, and Jordan Love, in my opinion, looked better and made more impressive throws, but protecting the football is the most important. Now, did he protect the football, or did the Packers not pick off the football when they had the opportunities? Because I felt like Brock Purdy threw it to them twice and they didn't catch it. So, is C fair? He really struggled in the rain. They were not in any sort of offensive rhythm. He threw multiple balls. I mean, that ball that was like 10 feet over George Kittle's head when he threw the errant ball to, I think it was Juice Check. My dad records the games and he called me right before I did my stream. Hi, Dad. Love you. Love you, Daddy. I miss him. I usually watch the game with him, but I'm in New York. Anyways, I think he's in the comments, but my dad records the game. So he like went back and like rewound it. And George Kittle is in the end zone with his hand up, like, I'm here, I'm free. And Brock Purdy misses him. Accuracy was off, which is ironic because Marco and I were just talking about accuracy earlier, which I think that you can improve on your accuracy. Marco's take was that you can't. But Brock Purdy is usually a very accurate quarterback. I want to say, I'm like I feel like I tend to lean positive. So I'm going to say C for for quarterbacks, Brock Purdy. Coach Shanahan. Can I do like D? Why did you not run the ball? Why did you run out the clock at the end of the first half? Why did you decide that a playoff game, we didn't go home or lose and go home, goodbye forever, season over, was a good time to test out Jawan Jennings, the running back? I don't care if Debo went out. A lot of people, they're like, oh, like Debo. I loved seeing Debo in the backfield. I thought that was, even though I think he only got to the 20-yard line. I think that they should carry that on if Debo's healthy in the playoffs. I think it just sets the tone to have a playmaker back there. I like how they were like, no more Ronnie Bell in the playoffs. Not happening. Chris Conley, he was in the game and Ronnie Bell wasn't. He made an excellent catch on like a third down. But I was going to say, I don't think that Debo being out gives Kyle Shanahan an excuse for anything that happened because there's so many stars. There's no reason that George Kittle didn't get even more targets than he was got. That Brandon Ayuk didn't get more targets. Like, there was no reason for there to be a spur of the moment, we're going to run the ball with Jawan Jennings when you have a record-breaking, like, gonna be probably in the Hall of Fame, Christian McCaffrey on your team right now. And then even Christian McCaffrey, let's say his knee was freaking swollen and he couldn't run, which wasn't the entire game. He was like amped and totally ready to play. But let's say for some reason Kyle Shanahan, who, by the way, ran Christian McCaffrey like 40 times in September. In September, he was like, let's run Christian McCaffrey every second of the day. Everyone and their mother was like, Kyle Shanahan, if you get Christian McCaffrey injured before the playoffs, we're going to riot because obviously in the playoffs, you're going to need him. And then Kyle Shanahan was like, I'm going to give him 11 touches in the freaking first half. He got 11. So frustrating. So frustrating. Give Christian McCaffrey the ball. And if you don't want to give him the ball, give it to Elijah Mitchell or Jordan Mason, who I know is going to be shunned and like we're probably not going to see until next freaking 2024 season. But both of those running backs are also averaging, I think Elijah Mitchell's averaging 6 and Jordan Mitchell is averaging 7 yards per carry. Get them the ball before you decide to give the slowest wide receiver on the team. And John Jennings is great, but I don't think it's a diss. I think he would admit that putting him at freaking running back was Kyle Shanahan tries to get cute. Don't get cute in a freaking playoff game, dude. Do that in preseason. Oh, I want to see which one of my wide receivers. Do that in training camp. When all the fans are there and they can cheer for your funny little things, that's when you do that. So we're going position groups. We did C for Brock Purdy, which I think is fair. I should check the comments. Tell me if I'm like kind of on point, you guys, or if I'm being way too critical or way too kind. I think C for Brock Purdy, D for Kyle Shanahan. The only reason it's an F is they won the game and he came back in the fourth quarter after, so now he's broken that record of his, which is if you're like down by a certain amount of points. I think it's by 8 points. He's 37 or he's like all time has 0. And in the fourth quarter is in at 37-1. And that one game was also against the Packers. And now he's 2, both times against the Packers. That sucks for them. Would hate to be them. So I'm doing Brock C, coaches. And we'll do Steve Wilkes too. I felt like Steve Wilkes' game plan was vanilla. It was predictable. The Packers knew what was happening. So we're going to go C for quarterbacks, D for coaches. And they can all get better. Like I love the 49ers. I'm just being critical because it's a playoff game. But I'm very happy that they won. So now let's do wide receivers. Debo got hurt. Brandon Ayuk did really good, but he also dropped the ball. I said Chris Conley made an excellent catch. Way to go him for being in a playoff game and living up to the moment. Juwan Jennings did really good. Should we give them an A-? They had 2 drops that I can remember that were bad. And it was pouring rain. So I think that's good. I think A- wide receivers. Is that way too high? Am I missing something? Oh, wideouts, B-. Maybe I'm dumb. What am I missing? What did they do wrong? B-. Everyone. Okay. I'm way too generous. Well, I'll settle on a B. Okay. You guys are saying B-. I was saying A-. We'll do B because they did. Wasn't much separation. True. Maybe it was a rain game. I felt like just staying on your feet was good. There was some, but there was, I'd love to know, they're never going to tell us, but that miscommunication where Brock, it was like the one pretty throw he had in the first half. He was making like terrible passes for the first half, or not even the first half, but I'm talking the first quarter. And then he makes like a beautiful deep ball. And at first the camera's only showing the ball. And you're like, oh wow, that like came out of his hand nice. It was just right after he like had dropped a ball, like it slipped out of his hand. So you're like, okay, it's getting good. And then Ayuk, I think you're right. People are saying it was too Ayuk. But Ayuk stopped on his route like way back here, and Brock Purdy was throwing a deep ball, and so he just threw it to no one. We're never gonna know, did Brock Purdy throw the ball wrong, or did Ayuk run the wrong way? People are saying run the wrong way. Okay, if you want to include, we're not gonna include George Kittle. We'll do, or maybe we should, because tight ends is just gonna be George Kittle. So you guys all convinced me. I'm a very easily convinced person. Now I'm saying B. QBs and receivers seem to be off. Now I kind of want to go B-. Look at how I was like A-, and then I was like, okay, we're gonna end on a B. And now I'm like, after talking about all the negative stuff, creating incompletion. Okay, I'm gonna be. I was really hard on the quarterback and the coach and the quarterbacks and the coach, but I thought Jennings did so good. Like if you were just grading Jennings, you'd be like A. I think B. We'll settle on B for wide receivers. I'm also taking so long doing this. Sorry. credit to anyone who gives reports in a, maybe should have thought this out so I could have bounced it out for you guys easier. But okay, so we have, just to recap, Purdy has a C. And he would have had lower, but he won the game at the very end, which was crushing some narratives for him. Coaches get a D, could have gotten an F, but once again, they won the game at the very end, and Kyle Shanahan kind of pulled his head out of his ass and started giving the ball to Christian McCaffrey, which, shocker, worked. Jauan Jennings is the only wide receiver that gets an A. Jauan Jennings was MVP. This is ironic because like 3 games ago, I tweeted out during a game, what does Jauan Jennings do here? Because he like dropped a ball or something. And now ever since that tweet, he's done impeccable. He's done incredible. To be fair, maybe I should always tweet negative things, because I definitely tweeted out something like, I was like, holy shit, the 49ers might lose this game or something. And then they won. So maybe I just need to, I'm like the reverse jinxing them is what I'm doing. And when I tweeted positive in the first half, when I was like, I'm still not worried, the Packers only have 3, friggin', then they were like losing the game. I should always just be negative. When I'm negative, they do better. Okay. Tight ends. Just George Kittle, basically. George Kittle, we want to give him a B-. I thought he did really good, but then he dropped a pass, so you can't give him too high of a grade. All negative. So we'll do B- for tight ends. Then let's go defensive line. Am I missing anything on the offense? I don't think. Oh, running backs. Duh. Don't worry. Football. Running backs get a freaking A. Give them the ball more. They're the only part of the freaking offense that got an A, and they didn't get their opportunities. Chris McCaffrey, incredible. Only guy that scored touchdowns for the 49ers. Ran so crazy. There were so many times where he was stopped. What was that one? Like one of our, I think it was Aaron Banks, was getting pushed back like into Chris McCaffrey, and you saw him like hit Aaron Banks, and then like he finally stopped and kind of turned, like went around him. That was kind of funny. And he ended up, and then when he got around him, he didn't like immediately got hit. He like juked some people out. But running backs get an A. Then let's go to the defensive side. D-line. Dude, what the heck? You're in a playoff game making the most money out of any group on the team. That defensive line is the supposed to be the star of the 49ers in the Kyle Shanahan scheme. It's always been about his defensive line. I know that once again, I get nervous that maybe I don't see everything correctly, because Rohan seemed to not be too concerned, but their pass rush was not very good. I mean, I guess they kind of contained Jordan Love well. Can you say that? Is that fair? They kept him from scrambling, but he's not a huge scrambler, and they did let him kind of run to the side and make plays down the field. I do think Nick Bosa got some pressure, which caused some of those interceptions that Aaron Banks not Aaron Banks on my mind, that Dre Greenlaw ended up see, people are saying D-line, D+. I'm gonna go D. D+ is fine, because without the pressure that they caused, even though they didn't get a sack, without the pressure they caused, the interceptions wouldn't have happened. So even though they didn't get home, you have to do that. We expect better with our first 3 rounders being on the defensive line. That's kind of what I mean. Like, it's just the fact that they get, so we'll do D+ for them. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm being nicer. I was so critical on the offensive side. But we'll do D+ for the D line. Let's do linebackers. Linebackers do they get an A? Is that too much? Without Dre Greenlaw, they don't win the game. The turnovers ended up being, if the Packers catch for the Brock Purdy's interceptable passes, they won the game, but they didn't catch them. Our team caught them. I thought Fred Warner also played really good. I didn't see any missed tackles on his part. And then Dre Greenlaw showed up. I mean, I think not only just with the interceptions, but the way he was hitting and going after, I think, yeah, red Dre, blah, blah, words. Sorry. I'm literally speaking on a podcast right now and just forgot how to say words. Thanks for listening. Linebacker Fred Warner killed it. Dre Greenlaw's interception. So they get an A. And then secondary, Charvarius Ward did okay. Lenore, he got a penalty, but then he made some big plays. If I was grading them separately, I'd probably give them like a B. But then if you put in Gibson, had a horrendous penalty, and then Ambry Thomas the ghost of Ambry Thomas pass making a comeback. Okay, people are saying B. I was gonna say I think C, because I think I would give if it was just Lenore and Ward, because I don't think even those two did incredible. They just like didn't do bad. And then I think like Ambry Thomas objectively did bad. Like if you were grading just him, you'd give him like an F, right? Is an F too harsh? So you give him like a D minus. So I think C. People are saying C. Yeah, C. Ghost of Henry Thomas pass. Okay, so C. Is that everyone? Did I do all the? Special teams. Jake Moody. What the? I was almost gonna say the F word. Sorry about that. I know that he made the second kick. I don't care. I don't like him. Now, Mitch Wisnowski, they should have done a fake punt in there and had Mitch run again. You got to bring that back in the playoffs, and they definitely never will. And because it didn't work out, I don't think Mitch will ever call his shot again. I would give them. You want to give Moody a credit for being able to make the second one, because that's kind of been his problem, right? He misses one and then he gets in his head and then he doesn't make the next one. So you have to give him credit for that. So maybe, and then Mitch did well. So like C minus, D, but I feel like doesn't C minus seem too high? I want to say I've been more negative. So I'm leaning on being more critical. In a different day, I would have been more positive. But I'm gonna say D plus. Should I do D plus? People let me know, because I feel like I'm mostly grading Jake Moody with that, and there is more people in specialty. But they let up a giant 73-yard freaking. Oh my god! It looked like it was gonna be a touchdown. My freaking heart, dude. No way. I was so mad. They get a D. The only reason they don't get an F is because of Mitch Wisnowski. I don't know what I was just thinking. I forgot about that. That made me so mad. All of special teams did bad. They did bad at am I being harsh? Sorry, I just got mad. Good teams win ugly. I know I'm being negative, but if you haven't been around for the whole show, I've given them a lot of praise, and I agree that it was a exciting win. I just like to be. People are saying F. See, I could be more negative. No, you're fair. Perfect. Let's run through the conclusion of all the grades really quickly, and then everyone make sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ashley Ariana. I'm considering doing a call-in show today. Normally the day after games, I go on with Eric Crocker and then Stephanie, but we're going to be doing that on Monday. And since it was a Saturday game, I don't really want to do nothing tomorrow, because I like to kind of be fresh in the emotions. So maybe I'll do a call-in show or something tomorrow. So make sure to like and subscribe. There's going to be content out all week. So yeah, make sure to do that. D-line didn't show up specifically. Purdy last drive was clutch. I agree. Coaches got a D, right? Coaches got a D. Well, D plus, because they won at the end, but did terrible for basically the entire game. Aside from that, both Steve Wilkes, what the heck, man? I like him too. He's been doing great. And to be fair, the offense put them in a terrible position for the first half with keeping them on the field for so long, consistently going 3 and out and stuff, and not running the ball. But D plus, this is why it takes me so long, as I go on so many rants. Jesus. D plus for coaches. C, did we do C for Brock Purdy? Because he did bad, but he protected the football and then was clutch at the very end. So C for him. I'm sorry, I got lost reading the comments. C plus for quarterbacks. I think we did. Did we do B for wide receivers? B for wide receivers. Maybe it was a B plus. I don't remember, because they had drops, so we didn't give them an A. But either B or B plus for wide receivers. And then tight ends, I think we also did B plus, because George Kittle did amazing, but also had one drop. You can't be dropping games in the playoffs, man. And I was really hard on. I feel like I also gave Kittle a game ball, and then now I'm giving him a B plus. But I was really hard on Ayuk for his drop, so I need to be hard on Kittle too. The only reason I'm hard on Ayuk is because I believe in him so much, and I think he can be that wide receiver. I also think that catch he made right after his drop was like pivotal for the game. So he definitely did show up. But I want him to show up in those big moments because we've seen Debo take over games, in my opinion, in ways that we haven't seen Ayuk. Even though Ayuk is the more consistently good player, like Debo has big ups and downs. I feel like Ayuk sometimes in the critical moments doesn't show up. So I was harsh on him, but he did have a really good game. So we did B plus for wide receivers, and then D for special teams because they sucked. A for running backs. I don't know why. That's the second time that I forgot to mention the running backs, even though Christian McCaffrey objectively was the best thing about this 49ers offense and should have had the game way more. Maybe I'm just borrowing from Kyle Shanahan and forgetting that freaking he exists for some reason. But yeah, he gets an A. Linebackers get an A. Defensive line, what did we end up giving them? A D plus? Because they caused pressure, so that was good, but they got 0 sacks and didn't stop the run. AJ, like the only reason the Packers run game stopped working is because Matt LaFleur, he's one of Kyle Shanahan's underlings. He stole from Kyle Shanahan and lost his mind at the end of the game and freaking went away from the run, even though it was totally working for them. So we're doing D plus for the D line because I didn't think that they did well, and they're the most highly paid unit on the team, so they should have more pressure than anyone else. And then secondary, what did we land on? I think we did C because Ward and Lenore did good, but then Ambry Thomas and Gibson did not. So that's the roundup of all the grades. I feel like I went over that took way too long, and then I forgot and maybe even changed them when I went back through it. But what a wonderful night. It's really late here because I'm on East Coast time. Weird time for me to leave the Bay Area during the playoffs. What the heck? But they won, so that's good. First 100-yard rusher, Christian McCaffrey, first 100-yard rusher in 51 games. He's, like I said, record breaking. I watched this with I've repeated this 100 times now, but I watched this with my friend who's doesn't know anything about football. So when explaining to her how frustrating it was that Christian McCaffrey wasn't getting the ball, I was like, he is like, it'd be like not giving Tom Brady like the opportunity to like win the game at the end. Like he has been historic. It makes no sense that Kyle Shanahan is losing his mind. Someone said, give me a smile. That was nice. Okay. Christian McCaffrey is MVP. Thank you guys so much for no, Ashley, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. He made a 20. My dad must be behind because I think he's talking about Mitch Wisnowski right now. It did work out. He made a 25-yard one. I know Ronnie Bell committed a penalty. I remember. I just don't like Kyle Shanahan admitted that he did not call that. Like he didn't call the fake. It was like Mitch Wisnowski went rogue. Probably something him and like the special teams coach were like, okay, Kyle Shanahan is never going to give you the opportunity to run a fake. But if you see something, go for it. And the only reason, like Kyle Shanahan was asked about it this week in his press conference, if he would ever call something like that again. And he basically immediately said no. Kyle Shanahan is like he's like an old guy. Like he like plays, he's like one of the younger coaches, right? But he borrows from and I think he's a great coach. I'm so glad that the 49ers have him. But a lot of his stuff is old school. So I think stuff like going for it on fourth down, being more aggressive, calling fakes, stuff like that, he doesn't like. He normally likes to run the ball. I don't know what happened to this, but he normally likes to run the ball and win with his defense. So I don't anticipate that he'll be calling any more fakes. And I don't think that Mitch Wisnowski, I can't pronounce his last name. That's a me problem. I don't think he's going to be going rogue in the playoffs. So I don't think we'll see one of those. But maybe I'll be wrong. And against the Lions, they'll do, who knows? Could be wrong. I didn't think that this game was going to be even close. I bet them to cover the 10-point spread. So I'm wrong all the time. Everyone have a wonderful night. I'm literally never going to stop talking if I don't just turn this off. So, everyone like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can follow me on Twitter. I was a crazy person on there tonight going up and down with all the emotions of the game. But yeah, make sure to like and subscribe. Like I said, I think if you guys are interested, you can maybe either DM me on Twitter or at me on Twitter or put it in the comments if you guys would call in for a call-in show tomorrow. I might do something like that earlier on in the afternoon before the games because I know a lot of you guys are going to be busy watching the rest of the playoff games. I'm betting on the Chiefs to win, even though I want Josh Allen to win because I think, I like Josh Allen. I like the Bills story underdog. I know that they're favored to win, but I just feel like you can't ever bet bet against Patrick Mahomes. So I'm betting Lions and Chiefs tomorrow. But yeah, as someone said, I think the Bills win, Chiefs win. Anyways, my bets are Lions win and Chiefs win. And I might do a call-in show if you guys are interested in the morning. And then I'll definitely be on Eric Crocker's channel, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Monday. And then my channel with Stephanie on Tuesday. And we'll have Jose on Stephanie, my channel, 3 p.m. on Monday, Jose on Tuesday. All week, tons of content. Make sure to like and subscribe. People are making friends. Oh, no, I thought that he was making friends with someone in the comments, but he just said, Josh seems like a really nice guy. I agree. I like him too. I'm sick of Patrick Mahomes. They've been so divas, right? Patrick Mahomes is like whining to the refs, trying to get penalties. What the heck, dude? Come on. You guys are already the Chiefs. You're already favored all the time. Just play the game. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan either, but a rematch could be interesting. Hopefully the Bills will knock them off and we won't have to see that. Hopefully the 49ers get there, which I think knock on wood, I think they will. Anyways, I'm hitting end